Welcome to Introduction to Statistics. In this video, we're going to be covering other graphical displays. So in statistics, we have a bunch of different graphical displays. In the last video, we talked about what a histogram is. In this video, we're going to look at three other types of graphical displays: scatterplot, stem and leaf display, and dot plot. So we're going to start with stem and leaf plot. So in this example, we have exam scores, and the data values are listed from least to greatest. So if we're going to create a stem and leaf plot with this data set, a stem and leaf plot has a vertical line, and on the left is what we call the stem, on the right is the leaf. The stem is the leftmost digits of a number, and the leaf is the most right digit. So looking at this data set, the most right digit would be the ones place. And the most left digit, so 100 is the largest, so this would be the most right. This is the most left. That would be the tens place. So it looks something like this. So the stem would be 0 to 10, where 10 represents 10 tens, which would be 100. So with each of these data values, we would represent them in their corresponding place value. So for example, 7 is just 7. There's no tens, 0 tens in other words. So we'd have a 7 here to represent the 7 here. And then the 34 here, 34 is 3 tens. So, and 34 is 4 ones. So we're going to have a 4 here to represent 34. 50 is 5 tens and 0 ones. So we'd have a 0 here and a 5 here. I'm sorry, a 0 here because this would be 5 tens and 0 ones. And the 58 here would be, we'd also have an 8 here to represent, let's see, 5 tens and 8 ones. And we'd have 2 8s because there's 2 58s. So if we continue in this fashion, this would be what the stem and leaf plot for this data set would look like. For example, this 3 here is 9 tens, which is 90, and 3 ones, so that's 93. That's this data value here. And then this 4 would be 94, this data value here. And then let's see, for example, this 6 here is 6 tens and 6 ones, that's 66. That's this point right there. And then this would be 63. And this one would be, let's see, 10 tens is 100, and 0 ones, that's 100. So that'd be that point right there. All right, so stem and leaf. Next one would be dot plot. So here we have a data set of minutes to eat breakfast. For example, we have 3 people who ate breakfast in a minute. So what a dot plot is it's a horizontal line representing, down here are the number of minutes or the data values. And what we're going to construct a dot plot, we're going to represent each of these data values with a dot. So because there's 3 ones here, there's going to be 3 dots here to represent these 3 ones. So under the 2 here, there would be 2 dots because there's 2 2s, and then there'd be 1 here for the 3 here, and then there's 2 4s, so there'd be 2 dots, and so on. So it looks something like this. And it's important to understand that each dot represents a data value. And finally, we come to the scatter plot. Scatter plot is probably the most important one out of the 3 that we're covering in this video. Scatter plots are very useful in displaying 2 variable statistics. So for example, this is a 2 variable statistics or 2 variable data set. Here we're tracking the number of absence and final grade. This pair of data represents one student where the student had 5 absence and their final grade was 78.3, and this student had 10 absence, their final grade was 63.4, and so on. So the way we graph a scatter plot is we have a vertical axis and a horizontal axis very much like an X and Y plane. And we would treat a pair of data like an ordered pair, just like an X and Y plane. So for example, To plot this, it's the number of absences is 5. So down here, we'd go up to here, right? We'd go here, and then the final grade is 78.3. So we'd go all the way up until we get to 78, and then we'd put a plotted dot there, very much like an x and y plane on a point on the Cartesian coordinate plane. All right, so if here's all the dots for all of these order pairs. So for example, this student right here, 10 absence, 63.4 would be represented with this dot. So 10 absence, 63.4 is the final grade. All right, so hopefully that made a lot of sense. If it doesn't, again, let me know.